Moore, Bledsoe, Perry, and Robinson report that self-care enhances well-being and involves purposeful and continuous efforts that are undertaken to ensure that all dimensions of the self receive the attention that is needed to make the person fit to assist others. It is an important consideration for social work students because of the high demands placed on their time by faculty, family, and employers, as well as looking out for the well-being of others. Students often assume numerous roles, which sometimes result in high levels of stress. Not only are they students, but they are also parents, heads of household, caregivers for aging parents, and other roles. For me, this excerpt perfectly describes the core behind my final capstone presentation. We have all experienced stress. Sometimes the stress can be helpful and act like a protective factor, like if you're being chased by an angry dog. Other times it can be less helpful and can impede our well-being, like being stressed over the Starbucks barista spelling your name wrong. Either way, stress plays a role in all of our lives. As social workers and social work students, it is our ethical responsibility to ensure we are taking care of ourselves, our whole selves, so that we can contribute to the advancement of our field by developing our skills and supporting our clients in an appropriate manner. I would argue that it is unethical to not engage in self-care. I'll use an example from the Canadian Association of Social Work Code of Ethics. Core Social Work Value 3 addresses service to humanity and states, "The social work profession upholds service in the interests of others consistent with social justice as a core professional objective. In professional practice, social workers balance individual needs and rights and freedoms with collective interests in the service of humanity. When acting in a professional capacity, social workers place professional service Canadian Association of Social Workers, CASW, Code of Ethics before personal goals or advantage, and use their power and authority in disciplined and responsible ways that serve society. The social work profession contributes to knowledge and skills that assist in the management of conflicts and the wide-ranging consequences of conflict. The Code of Ethics specifically states that there must be a balance between a social worker's individual needs and the rights and freedoms with the collective interest of the service of humanity. To me, this means that just as it is unethical to always focus on our needs and neglect our responsibilities of work, it is also unethical to do the opposite. Thus, the necessity for a work-life balance. I have used the final capstone assignment as a means of engaging in self-care while also creating a platform for uniquely sharing what self-care means to me and how it is shaped by my MSW journey. As you can see, my final capstone is a collage of photos that are meaningful to me and represent the various factors which comprise the social determinants of health, which are social connection, education, economic and food stability, health and access to health care, safety, and environment. First, for social connection, the most evident picture is a group photo taken at a surprise party I organized for my fiance. In this photo are most of our closest friends. The picture represents the importance of caring friends who generate a feeling of community. To represent the importance of family, I have pictures of my niece Violet and nephew Owen. They represent the strong connection I have with my siblings, and interacting with them has helped me develop a new form of social connection. The picture taken of my fiancée Jenny and me represent the important bond we have together, one that has taken us from Cape Breton to Boston, which also represents our joy in traveling and connects to the economic stability in regards to the social determinants of health. The food and rock climbing represent my desire to try new things, learn from doing so, and they also represent food security and access to healthy activities. I signed up for a food delivery service in an attempt to improve my cooking skills. Through this exposure, I learned that a task, cooking, can develop into a fun challenge. This endeavor has also exposed me to cuisines that I wouldn't have made before. The rock climbing wall occurred both out of curiosity and necessity. The curiosity was inspired by watching Free Solo and wanting to gain a stronger appreciation for the feat that was accomplished in that movie. I quickly achieved this insight as Alex Honnold scaled a 900-meter wall without a rope, and the wall in the picture is 3 meters high with a map beneath it. Putting this into perspective also represents the importance of gaining perspective as a social worker. Perspective helps develop insight, which helps us connect with our clients and build rapport. I mentioned the climbing wall also being one of necessity. It is a great example of self-care, and I'm someone who needs to be active in order to ensure I am mentally well. I often find the winters difficult because in Nova Scotia the snow is inconsistent and is often followed by rain, meaning outdoor activities are not easily accessible. This winter I wanted to find an indoor activity, and hence the rock climbing wall. The picture of me with the Atlantic salmon and the one of the lighthouse, which is Peggy's Cove, represent leisure, which I attribute to overall health and well-being. I love being outside in any way, shape, or form. Sometimes it is for a walk or hike, like visiting Peggy's Cove, and other times it's getting lost in the woods and finding a river or stream to fish. In this case, I was on a more popular river and managed to angle my first Atlantic salmon, a monumental moment for a fly fisherman. In addition, I'm going to take this opportunity to address my surroundings. I chose to film this video outside at a local park. Although I love being deep in the woods, local parks can help temporarily meet my need of being in nature. The picture of my parents' dog, Sophie, with Jenny and my cat, Persia, in the background represents safety and environment. I love these animals, and their company is hard to beat. Being in our home with Sophie when she is visiting, and Persia, is certainly my safe place. Lastly, the picture of the eagle represents several things. I'm going to flip this around and show a bigger picture. For me, my spirituality is tied in with eagles. I've heard countless stories about their connection to the spiritual world, and I identify with them in this way. I'm lucky in Nova Scotia that eagles are common, and I've seen them even from my office window in Dartmouth, which is an urban environment. This picture also represents one of the many learnings from my MSW coursework and placement. The picture was introduced to me through the Knowledge Mobilization course, and it is part of a Photo Voice series by Aboriginal youth in Manitoba. The photo was taken and wording created by Ashley Harper, and it reads the following. The reason I took this picture was because of the following saying I heard about eagles. Most birds seek shelter and hide as the storm passes. Instead of hiding, the eagle is the only bird that avoids the storm by flying above the clouds. This eagle seemed like the perfect picture to take about leadership and educational success. The raven behind the eagle is a smaller bird. It symbolizes those who will seek shelter and hide without dealing with the storms in their lives. As for the eagle, it is one of the strongest birds, strong enough to fly above the clouds. It symbolizes those who have been through many storms, but rather than letting the storms push them down, they fly above the storm and become stronger. The flight of the raven around the eagle symbolizes youth who are inspired and motivated by those who fight through the storms. The eagle doesn't know the raven is behind him, symbolizing how we often don't notice those who are admiring us from afar. We don't notice who we might have been inspiring to keep fighting through the storms of life and to never give up in the fight towards success. I found this photo voice to be powerful. A little windy. The author did an excellent job of extracting much meaning from the picture and reminds us that there's always much more than meets the eye. At first glance, the picture is of two birds, but with Ashley's message it becomes much more. The image also represents my placement, as I was able to shadow a First Nations social worker who spoke in depth about the need to complement Western medicine with Indigenous medicine. Together, we spoke about ways our local health authority could implement a systemic change, how that would benefit the people living in Nova Scotia, and what challenges would be faced throughout the process. Although the discussion was temporarily hypothetical in the moment, it helped expand my understanding of what it means to have access to sufficient health care, and what is sufficient health care for some may be oppressive for others. Thank you for listening to my presentation.